Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar. My name's Erin Jerky. I'm one of the coordinators at Call for Help. We are the Sexual Assault Victims Care Unit in Illinois, and we cover St. Clair County, Madison County, Jersey County, Randolph County, and Monroe County. And today I'm going to be talking to everybody about caring for kids, what we need to know to prevent child sexual abuse. Okay, so I want to start this webinar off with some statistics just so we have a base level of how often it's happening, who it's happening to, and who's doing the abuse. So let's start with how often is sexual child abuse happening. So research shows that 1 in 10 children are affected by sexual abuse, to possibly as high as 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. 75% of victims will not tell for at least a year. Half of victims will wait at least 5 years before telling. And 90% of child sexual abuse cases are never reported. So who are the victims? The average age for reported sexual abuse is 9 years old. 50% of all victims of forcible sodomy, sexual assault with an object, and forcible fondling are under age 12. 20% of children will receive a sexual solicitation via the internet. Less than 1% of child sexual abuse allegations are false. So sorry, my program skipped right over who the abusers are. So I went back a couple of slides. So 30 to 40% are immediate or extended family members of the victim. 50% know their victims and are in a position of trust with the victim and or family. 40% are larger or older children, siblings, cousins, friends, neighbors, community members. 7% are adults that work in schools. Less than 10% of child sexual assault abusers are strangers. I know these statistics can be overwhelming and scary, but there are things you can do to help prevent child sexual abuse. We can start in the early years of a child's life by working towards creating a culture within their lives to properly educate them on the human body, respect, and consent, while working to maintain that sexual abuse is never a child's fault, nor does it affect their worth. In the next several slides, I will go over how to start creating this culture. So we're going to talk about things like private parts, how to establish rules and support bodily autonomy, how to keep communication open. So let's start with talking truthfully. So with that comes that we have to normalize the way we talk about private parts. So that's really where it starts. So we all remember singing Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes as children. We sang this song loud and proud, and we never felt ashamed of talking about our shoulders, eyes, knees, etc. The proper terms for genitalia should be normalized the same way we normalize talking about ears, knees, and every other body part. Teaching and using the words penis, scrotum, vulva, and vagina helps to end the taboo that the proper terms are not polite. If children do not know the proper name for their genitalia, it can make it harder for them to disclose sexual abuse if they ever need to, or make them feel embarrassed or ashamed to talk about their genitalia. Additionally, abusers have been known to introduce pet names for genitalia to make sexual contact seem fun. So along with that, we also can talk about boys and girls and what they have and how it differs, and what normal curiosity looks like with children. So it is completely normal and even expected for children, especially siblings, to notice differences in genitalia. Books that describe the differences between male and female genitalia are a great way to introduce this information to children in a safe and educational manner. Yesterday for Storytime Tuesday, I read Amazing You, which is a great book to use to help explain genitalia to young children. You can still find the recording on our Facebook page. Some children may not be curious because it has never come to their attention. If your child isn't curious and still unaware of our biological differences, it is recommended that by age 3 to 4 to teach them so that they know and understand that these parts are private. Books are also a great tool to help to explain to children where babies come from when they start asking. Raising children to understand and appreciate their bodies can help them feel comfortable when they need to talk about it, especially during puberty when they may feel embarrassed or scared by the changes happening to their body. So it's also important to talk to your children about privacy and inappropriate and appropriate touch and what that looks like and some examples. So you can talk with your child about the times when a touch is appropriate. There are times when it is necessary for an individual to touch or look at a child's private parts. Some examples are changing a diaper, washing a young child at bath time, helping a child wipe after using the bathroom, or at a doctor's visit with a guardian present and watching. These are all appropriate touches. It is just as important to speak with your child about inappropriate touches. These touches are when people try to touch or see a child's private parts or show their own private parts. Individuals might try to call it a game to convince children that it is okay. Starting before or around age 2, begin to introduce what private parts are. I put a link at the bottom of, I believe, the next slide that our preventionists use when they go into the schools to talk about what private parts are and where they are. So begin by explaining that private parts are the areas of our body that are covered by a bathing suit. The coloring sheets I mentioned will help show children what you mean by letting them color in the bathing suits worn by the children on the coloring pages. Explain that private parts should be kept private, out of sight, touch of other people, which is why we cover our private parts unless we are washing ourselves. We can normalize this conversation by bringing it up while changing your child's diaper. So you can say something like, "Time to cover up your privates. These are just for you. No one should look at or touch your privates except when you need to stay clean or get dressed." Another good time to talk about privacy of your private parts is when you or your child are using the bathroom. You can explain that bathing, using the toilet, dressing, and sleeping are times when people should have privacy, both children and adults. Let's keep the bathroom door closed for the person in there so they can have their privacy. Another private part that is not covered by a swimsuit is the mouth. Explain to your child that no one should be sticking toys or anything in their mouth or eyes or ears, just to keep it general, just for fun. So once your child understands what appropriate and inappropriate touch is, and they know about privacy and keeping their private parts covered and things like that, it's a good time to start introducing some rules that will help keep your child safe. So you can set rules with your child to help them understand what is okay and what is not. So here are some examples of rules you could go over with your child to help keep them safe. So it's a rule. We do not tickle, look at, take pictures, or play games with each other's private parts. You can start a rule with your child that goes over this. If you have these conversations openly with your child, they will feel more comfortable letting you know if someone has tried to look at or touch their private parts, or if someone has tried to show them their private parts. It's a rule. Hugs, kisses, and being touched is always optional. Children often learn more by examples we set than the words we speak. We can encourage children to follow their instinct and prioritize their feelings over others when we allow them to say no to touch, like hugs and kisses, even if we believe they're perfectly safe. We can encourage other types of ways to be friendly, such as waving, saying hi, a fist bump, or a high five. Kids love to say no, and that's a good thing. Children should be in control of their own bodies, and therefore, if they say no or stop to tickling, hugging, and kissing, then the touch should be stopped, and we should respect that child's choice about what happens to their body. This helps the child understand that they can tell anyone not to touch their body, which will help keep the child safe. Since hugs, kisses, and being touched is always optional, we should always ask for the child's permission before touching them, and have them ask for consent and permission before touching someone else. It's a rule. No secrets. Convicted abusers have admitted being surprised by how easy it was to get a child to keep a sexual secret. Some abusers begin grooming children by building a bond with them and testing them to see if they will keep secrets. The secrets might start small, with the abuser giving the child a small toy or even something as small as a sticker, and asking the child to keep it a secret. By teaching children at a young age that they are not allowed to keep secrets from us, we are reducing the chance that the abuser's ploy will work. Helping your child differentiate between a secret and a surprise is good too. Surprises are meant to be fun and happy, like a surprise birthday party or a vacation. A great book to read to your child to help understand secrets is Some Secrets Should Not Be Kept. So that leads into another rule that goes perfectly along with no secrets. So it's a rule: no gifts without permission. Gift giving, like mentioned above, is another way that abusers try and build a relationship with a child. Or they might use the gift as a means to keep the child from telling. You can explain to your child that we do not accept gifts from anyone without permission first. And at the bottom of this page is the link for the coloring pages. There's actually several different coloring pages, but the one that I was specifically talking about before is one where your child can color in the swimsuit while you talk about where private parts are, what they are, and how we keep them covered. So feel free to use that link and check out all the different coloring pages. So we also want to make sure that we're keeping communication open. It doesn't do any good if our kids know about private parts and they know all the rules and they know not to keep secrets if they don't feel comfortable coming to us, or they don't really know who they're supposed to go to. So explaining to your child what intuition is can also help them know when it is time to share something with you. Just like adults, kids can sense when someone's intentions aren't good. We often explain this to children as that icky feeling. They might have felt it before when going somewhere new, meeting a new person, or riding a scary amusement ride. We should encourage children to trust this feeling and let us know when they are feeling this way. It may not always be right, but it always has their safety in mind, and now you are aware of the situation that made them feel that icky feeling. You can teach your child what is called no, go, tell. Explain to your child that they can yell no at the person trying to touch them, then leave or go away from that person and or situation, and find a trusted adult to tell. So we teach that in the schools too, and we call it no, go, tell. So something easy and catchy for kids to remember that you can go over and teach them to do when a situation arises. So then you can create a safety network with your child. So they have a list of safe people they can go to if someone tries to touch them inappropriately. You and your child should pick 3 to 5 adults to put in the safety network. Sometimes children are hesitant to talk to their parents when a situation arises, so it is a good idea to have a safety network mapped out. Some ideas of individuals to add would be another family member, a troop leader or coach, a school nurse, a teacher at school, or a friend of the family. Once you have picked the individuals you want in the safety network, it is important to let those individuals know about the safety network. You can give these individuals resources and explain to them how to handle a disclosure of child sexual assault. For those that are mandated reporters, like teachers and health professionals, inquire upon what sort of abuse prevention training, if any, they have taken. And we'll also go over in the next slide how to respond to a child disclosing so that you also know how to explain to those people in the safety networks kind of the actions or not actions to take if a child discloses to them. So being aware of how we respond. If your child comes to you to ask about private parts, tell you they got that icky feeling, or to disclose that someone has touched or tried to touch their private parts, it is important to be mindful of how you are reacting. This reaction can make or break if your child will continue to tell you things in the future. If they are disclosing sexual abuse, let them know you believe them. Remain calm and let the child know they are not in trouble and they did nothing wrong. It is important to not say things about harming the abuser, such as "I will beat them up." This can make the child afraid to talk to you about the abuse. And as we learned at the beginning of this webinar, the abuser is most likely someone the child knows and trusts. Sometimes hearing someone talk about the abuser can cause even more conflicting feelings for the child. The most important thing you can do if your child discloses is remain calm, listen, support, believe. Remember, as I stated before, that only 1% of child sexual abuse allegations are false. So always believe a child when they disclose sexual assault to you. You can reach out to your local rape crisis center to speak with an advocate who can support you through this time and explain your options about reporting to law enforcement, seeking medical care and/or an evidence collection kit, and how to set up therapy for your child and even yourself. And that concludes the webinar. If you have any questions or you want to talk more, feel free to drop a comment below and somebody from my center will get back to you. I hope that this webinar helps guide you through navigating that culture with your child of creating a space where your child can talk comfortably about their private parts and their body, and also knowing how to support your child and educate your child so they know how to keep themselves safe and when it's time to let a trusted adult know when something has happened. Thank you again so much for joining in on our webinar, and stay tuned for Friday when we do our last live Friday of April. We're going to wrap up the week and the poll questions, and we are also going to wrap up the whole month. So join us Friday at 3 p.m. when we go live. I'll hope to see you then.